The world feels a bit shaky these days, doesn't it? You hear whispers and sometimes loud shouts about trade wars. Big nations like the United States and China are in a tug-of-war with tariffs. These are basically taxes on goods coming into a country. Right now, in May 2025, things are tense. We just saw a temporary 90-day pause where some tariffs got lowered. The United States dropped some from a staggering 145% down to 30% on Chinese goods. China did something similar for U.S. products, going from 125% to 10%. But don't get too comfortable. This is just a breather, not a peace treaty. This economic arm wrestling isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, it hits home. It affects the stuff we buy, the jobs we have, and even the very lights that keep our homes bright. Many parts for our critical infrastructure come from overseas. If trade gets choked off by high tariffs or outright bans, getting those essential components becomes hard, or it becomes incredibly expensive. This isn't some far-off problem for economists to chew on. It's a clear and present danger to the stability of our daily lives, potentially messing with everything from your morning coffee to the power grid itself. The folks in charge are already making moves. President Trump recently announced the United States will be setting new tariff rates for trading partners soon. They say they can't negotiate with everyone at once. This isn't just about cars or washing machines. It's about the complex web that supports our way of life. And that web is looking increasingly fragile under this economic pressure. It's time to understand this threat. The rumblings from these trade disputes are already being felt. It's not just talk anymore. Take the car industry, for example. General Motors, GM, actually stopped sending U.S. vehicles to China in May 2025. Ford had done the same thing a month earlier. This isn't small potatoes. GM took a massive hit, over $5 billion in charges late last year, partly because their business in China wasn't doing well. They even had to write down a big chunk of their equity stake there. These are major American companies feeling a serious pinch, and it shows how interconnected and vulnerable our economies have become. This isn't just about losing money for big corporations, it's about the supply chains. These are the pathways that bring us everything from microchips to massive transformers for the power grid. If critical components for our power grid get stuck in this mess, a simple repair could become a major crisis. When we talk about the power grid going down, it's not just about the inconvenience of your lights flickering off for an hour. Imagine a scenario where these economic pressures, these trade wars escalate. What if a key supplier of essential electrical components is suddenly cut off due to tariffs or an embargo? Or worse, what if infrastructure is deliberately targeted through economic means, making it impossible to get parts for repairs or upgrades? This could lead to not just localized outages but potentially widespread, long-duration blackouts. A situation like this could affect entire regions or even a significant portion of the nation. A national or large-scale regional blackout is a different beast altogether. It's not just about finding some candles. Think about the cascading failures. Traffic lights go out, causing chaos on the roads. Gas pumps stop working, stranding people and halting transportation of goods. Communication systems, including cell phones and internet, would likely fail as backup batteries run down. Hospitals would switch to generators, but how long can they run? And what if fuel becomes scarce? ATMs would be useless. Refrigeration would fail, leading to food spoilage on a massive scale. One of the first and most critical things to fail in a widespread grid-down scenario is the municipal water supply. Most of us just turn on a tap and expect clean, safe water to flow. But that complex system relies heavily on electricity. Electric pumps are needed to draw water from sources like rivers, lakes, or underground aquifers. More electricity is needed to push that water through treatment plants where it's filtered and disinfected. Then, even more power is required to pump it through miles of pipes and up into water towers so it can reach your home with adequate pressure. When the grid goes dark, these systems grind to a halt. Within hours or a day of a major power outage, tap water could stop flowing entirely. Even if there's some water pressure left from towers, the treatment plants might not be running. This means any water you do get could be contaminated and unsafe to drink without further purification. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a life-threatening situation. Humans can only survive a few days without water. Dehydration sets in quickly, leading to serious health problems and impaired judgment. Just like water, Our access to fuel is deeply tied to the electrical grid and stable international trade. Think about gasoline and diesel. Refineries that process crude oil into usable fuels require massive amounts of electricity to operate. The pipelines that transport crude oil and finished petroleum products across the country rely on electric pumps. Even the local gas station needs electricity to power its pumps so you can fill up your car or gas cans. So, a significant grid-down event potentially triggered by those economic conflicts and tariff wars we've discussed would almost certainly lead to severe fuel shortages very quickly. The impact of a fuel shortage would be immediate and far-reaching. Transportation would grind to a halt. Forget about commuting to work or even making a quick trip to the store if it's more than walking distance. Emergency services, police, fire, ambulances would struggle to operate as their fuel reserves dwindle. The delivery of all goods, including food and medical supplies, would be severely disrupted. If the outage occurs in colder months, heating oil and propane for home heating would become scarce, putting many people at risk. The inability to move people and goods is a hallmark of a collapsing system. When the main power grid goes down and stays down, having your own independent source of electricity can be a game changer. It moves you from being a victim of the blackout to someone who can maintain a degree of normalcy and safety. Off-grid power solutions range from simple and portable to more complex whole-house systems. The key is to assess your actual needs and budget and then invest wisely. Don't wait until the lights go out to start thinking about this. By then, the shelves will be empty, and you'll be left in the dark, literally and figuratively. One popular option is a generator. Portable gasoline generators are relatively affordable and can power essential appliances like a refrigerator, freezer, some lights, and medical devices. You'll need to consider fuel storage and safety, as we discussed. Diesel generators are often more fuel efficient and durable but can be more expensive. Propane generators are cleaner burning and propane stores well long-term. Inverter generators are quieter and produce cleaner power, which is better for sensitive electronics. Sometimes before a full grid collapse, you might experience rolling blackouts or brownouts. This is when the power company intentionally shuts down electricity to certain areas for limited periods. They do this to prevent a total overload of the system when demand outstrips supply, perhaps due to fuel shortages for power plants or damage to infrastructure from those economic pressures we've been talking about. While not as catastrophic as a long-term outage, rolling blackouts are disruptive and require their own set of preparations, so you cannot just survive, but thrive through them. First, think about lighting. When the power cuts out unexpectedly, especially at night, fumbling for a light source is frustrating and can be dangerous. Keep flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps easily accessible in multiple locations throughout your home. Make sure they have fresh batteries, or even better, use rechargeable ones with a way to keep them topped up, like a small solar charger or power bank. Candles can be used, but exercise extreme caution due to fire risk, especially with children or pets around. Glow sticks are a safe, albeit dimmer option for kids or marking pathways. Next up is cooking and food preservation. If blackouts are intermittent, your refrigerator and freezer might struggle to maintain safe temperatures. Minimize opening them during an outage. Have a good quality cooler and ice packs or frozen water bottles ready to transfer perishable food if needed. While preparing for power, water, and fuel shortages is absolutely critical, true resilience goes much deeper. It's about creating a personal stronghold, a comprehensive plan that covers all aspects of your family's safety and well-being when the normal support systems of society are unavailable or unreliable. This means looking beyond just the immediate utility failures and considering food security, medical needs, personal safety, and even the psychological aspects of navigating a prolonged crisis. This holistic approach is what separates basic prepping from genuine long-term survivability. Food storage is a cornerstone of this plan. You should aim for at least a few weeks, ideally several months, of non-perishable food for everyone in your household. This includes canned goods, dried beans, rice, pasta, and other staples that have a long shelf life. Don't forget comfort foods and items for special dietary needs. Learn how to cook from your stored food, perhaps using those off-grid cooking methods we discussed. Consider growing some of your own food if you have space. Even a small container garden can supplement your supplies. Rotating your stock by eating older items and replacing them with new ones ensures freshness. Medical preparedness is equally vital. The world is a dynamic place, and the threats we face can change. Those U.S. China trade tensions and the talk of tariffs reverting to reciprocal levels if new deals aren't made are a perfect example. This isn't a static situation, it's evolving, and as preppers, we need to evolve with it. Staying informed about the real threats posed by economic conflicts, geopolitical instability, and their potential impact on our infrastructure is not just a good idea, it's a fundamental part of being prepared. You can't effectively prepare for a threat you don't understand or are unaware of. This means paying attention to credible news sources, not just the headlines that scream the loudest. Look for analysis that explains the why behind events, especially concerning international trade, supply chain vulnerabilities, and economic policies. Understand that decisions made in Washington, D.C. or Beijing can have tangible consequences for your local power grid or the availability of goods in your store. For instance, the fact that GM and Ford halted vehicle exports to China, or that Apple's shipments to the U.S. dropped significantly, are indicators of real economic friction that could easily escalate. It's also crucial to understand that infrastructure attacks resulting from economic warfare are not some far-fetched conspiracy theory. They are a recognized threat in the modern world.